Hi, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, just want to say welcome and I'm glad that you're here. So what we're going to talk about today is changing out the armature in a 6-volt wiper motor assembly. Now here is a 12 volt. This is your standard 12 volt in the Volkswagen Beetle. We're talking about Volkswagen Beetles right now. This came out of a 66 Volkswagen Beetle, which is 6 volt. And this came out, I believe it was a Super Beetle 73, which is a 12 volt system, and it has a harness that comes with it. So I just want to show you the differences. And we also have two sets of batteries here. One's 6 volt, the other one is 12 volt. And what we're going to do later on is we're going to hook up the 6 volt to the wiper assembly motor here, and then we're going to hook up the 12 volt. So I'm going to show you what to do in changing that out. And let me get my stuff and we'll get started. Okay, so I removed the 12 volt wiper assembly that was here. I'm just gonna work with only this 6 volt here. As you can see, I might have to get a flashlight. Let me grab one real quick. Okay, now you can see much better. So, if you can see here, there are numbers. And if I get a little closer, it should say 53 here. It's kind of faint. It should say 53. Then 31B, then 53A. So I have to look at the schematic. Looking closer at the schematic. So let's get started. I'm not gonna clean this all just yet. And actually, this is in pretty good condition. It's not bad at all. It's a minor surface rust, but it's in good condition. Anyway, first thing we're gonna do is, since this has a 6 volt armature in it already, I'm gonna hook up the 6 volt to it. So the green here will be ground. So either we can put it here or we can put it here. I'd rather put it here to keep it away from everything else. And this is your positive. So we're gonna go to the 54. Give you guys an idea. That's just your wiper, just one speed. That's all it is. Now if I take this off, your wipers could be in a weird position on the windshield. And this is where the 53A comes into play. It puts it in its home position. So I'm gonna add power to that. And it must be in its home position already. So let's get it off its home position. We'll bump it a little bit, and then we'll add this. And there it is, back in its home position. Let's do that again because it's pretty quick. So I'm gonna bump it a little bit. Let's put it back in its home position. There we go. Now you wanna see it on the back side. For those of you who are curious, I'm gonna bump it here, as you can see, and this is gonna go in its home position. There. So let's try using the 12 volt. Now, if you're gonna go with the 12 volt, it's gonna be much faster. And I don't know if you want your wipers to be going very fast, especially if it's drizzling. It may just make a lot of noise and dry out the wipers, and it's no fun. So we're gonna I'm gonna toss these to the side. We're gonna use the 12 volt. You see how well that does. So let me get that ready. So hold on one second. Okay, we're at the 12 volt, and let's see how well this is gonna go. Now, as you guys know, this is gonna be a lot quicker. It's double the amount of voltage. So we'll hook up the ground first, and we'll hook up the positive. You can hear it. I'll just show you this way too. Very fast. And you can imagine how that's gonna be on your windshield, either in the rain or snowstorm. It's be pretty quick, not necessary. So, and also you're gonna burn up your 6 volt armature here anyway. So the best thing to do is just might as well just change it. I wonder if this is going to go back to its homing position. Yeah, see how that goes? It's not going to get even arm or go back in its home position. So, no good, no bueno. Not a good idea. So the best thing to do is just change this. So let me show you what a 6-volt armature looks like. Now the armature for these are different versus 6-volt and 12-volt. So I'll show you this one. And I believe it's the gears that are different. Like what I mean by the gears, I think this gear here is different. This gear here is different between the 12-volt and the 6-volt. So I would take apart the 12-volt, but I'm going to need it for something else. But this is what the 6-volt looks like. So we're going to swap that out. But first, oh, there we go. Very gently. Comes right out. Just the housing. There's nothing crazy inside. So we'll clean that up, polish it. See the inside of here. See where the armature is? Sitting right here. Give you guys a good look. Okay, so first things first, let me grab some tools and then we'll go to town. Okay, we're gonna work on this end. I'm gonna put everything in here because I don't wanna lose it, but these C-clips come out first. Come out just like that. And that should loosen this. As you can see here, oh, start to come out that way. Okay, the next thing we're taking off this nut here. It's an 10 millimeter. Oh, sorry, my fault, it's an 8. It has a nut and a washer. Nut and a washer, I don't want to lose this stuff at all. Okay. Now, at this point, you can take out the motor. Now you're gonna have to loosen up this nut here. And I think, I'm guessing again, it might be 13. Is it a 13? No. Is it a 15? Yeah. Feels like a 15. Let's try it. I'll loosen it. Nope, I think it's a 14. I've done this so many times, you figure out we have the right tools, right? Or remember. So we're gonna loosen this guy. So now you can slide it, if you can see it. Let's move it back up this way. There we go. So now this is out, which is great. We're gonna put this off to the side. Now we're gonna have to start taking off these flatheads to get to the inside of here. So let me grab a flathead screwdriver. I can feel you guys screaming at me, why didn't you grab the tools in the first place? You're right, you're right. You guys are always right. All right, so we got all the bolts out. What you do is you pull, because there's a gear in here. You pull this out, go straight out. See? There's a gear in there. And all this oil and stuff. So now this can move anywhere it feels like it. In there. The next best thing we can do is clean all this grease out, which is nasty. Okay, I cleaned most of the grease out of there. I do want to take apart, when I take off the armature, I want to clean up in here really good. I'll replace the grease. I'll do the same for this guy over here. So just to get a little detail, this sits here like that. And it has these different positions. So when this, sorry, these are not positions, but these are different, I guess they call them contact points. And what happens is as this moves, as this gear moves here, it'll find a contact point. I guess it really doesn't matter if this has to be in that position or not, but we're gonna leave it that way to eliminate any confusion. And this has a timing mark on it too. All right, so we clean this out, and now we gotta take this piece off. So first, I'm going to take this piece here off, and the best way to do it is using one of these clamps, or not clamps, these pliers, and try to spread this apart here. So let's see if we can get in there. Ooh, a little too hard. A little too hard on that one. Went a little too aggressive on that one. You can see that. So let me grab a small pliers and we'll move that one out. Just gently, you have to be careful because you got to put these back. This one went way out of control. Okay, so now you can see it will separate from here, just like that. I may have to pry it out on the underside. Is this where it's being held? There we go. I had to pull on a little hard, just give a little bit of pull. So now you're gonna have to move these contacts out of the way, and just be careful because you got a spring here. So we'll take the spring and separate it first from the contact. You'll have to separate from just one contact. And now you have access because these will come off. Just be careful when you're doing all this stuff. You can, some plastic in here, you can actually break it. So you can see we removed it from these notches here. Give you an idea. And now this whole armature should slide right out. I mean, it's magnetic in here, so it's gonna give you a little bit of a fit. Magnet is strong. All right. And out she comes. So we put this off to the side. We'll do a comparison. You can see it side by side here. It's hard to show it. You guys can't really see. All right, hopefully you can see it now. They're pretty much the same. I will look at the gearing on the end. The gearing here is about the same. It's flat here, but this one has like a ball on it. So gearing's about the same. I think in the 12 volt, it's a little different. The gearing's different. I don't have one to show you. So let me go ahead and clean this off. I'm gonna do this off camera so you guys are not bored with me cleaning. It's just gonna be a spraying, basically just to get all this grease off and make it nice and shiny. And I'll be right back. Okay, so we're nice and clean here. So now we're gonna pack this. We're gonna pack this 2/3 of the way with grease. I'm gonna use lithium grease. Pretty much packed it with with grease. I'm ready to go on that front. The next step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the new armature, and it's gonna go from the top here. I guess we could have done this earlier, but it's fine. We're gonna go from the top, stick it in this hole, and try to clear the bushings out of the way. Well, I mean these bushings out of the way. There you go, slides right in. Check to make sure it moves freely. And it should be within the grease there, as you can see. No problems. Okay. Now, we're gonna add this guy. So we'll slide him through the slot here. You can see it here, right here. Slot comes through. We'll slide them on in. I'm gonna squeeze these two tabs here. I'm gonna squeeze them together so we can lock them in place. So first, it's gonna go over the brass. This is in the brass. Then we'll take some pliers and we'll kind of crimp these two little tangs here. Crimp them together. They're softer than I thought they were, you know? Okay, now they're crimped together, as you can see. So that's in position there. This grease is flying everywhere. I know, you guys are yelling at me. You should have put it. Yeah, I get it. And now this tab here, this guy here needs to be in place. So I just want to make sure. It looks like he's already in place, but I want to double check because there is a space in there for the tab to lock in. So I'm going to squeeze just to be sure. Oh, getting grease everywhere. Learn from my mistakes. Put the grease in last. Okay, we'll put this together. Let's make sure it's in the right spot here. There. And we're gonna have to kind of wiggle it in. There is a it's like an alignment pin here. So you want to get that on straight. So that is on. And now you don't want to clamp it together or fasten it because you need to put this inside of it. So you want to lift it up just a little bit. And then slide this in. It goes on this way. Just like that. You can see it. It goes down to this area. So lock in place. Okay, so now we got it together. I'm going to stick one screw in it. I'll stick one screw in it for now, just to hold it for now. Just don't want things popping off as I mess with it. I'll clean her off. It's got a little bit of grease, as you know. So let's build the top half. Grab these phenolic pieces here. And the way they go in with the hook facing out in this direction. So they slide in like this in the back of this here, like that. We'll do the same for the other side. These magnets are pretty strong, which is good. This will go in with a hook facing out like that. We'll put this part in first. It goes right into this notch here. So that one's in, swings back and forth. As you can see, this is off. It came off during me messing with this. So we're good to go here. We're gonna add the spring, keep this closed together. These have to be touching, so it needs the springs to do that. I know there's a certain way you should put these in the proper order, and I just goofed up on the whole thing. So I should have put this on first. Again, my mistake. Should have put the springs on first. Okay, so the springs are on, and these have to be touching the motor. You can see it here, it needs to be touching the motor. Now this needs to ride like that. So what we'll do is we'll test it first. Make sure we're on the right track. So let's just test this real quick. We're gonna use the 12 volt. I may have to make clip to the ground here since it's off. So kind of goofed up. So it works. Let's check out the homing. So that's where the homing is. So see that, and it goes back to the home. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the rest of the bolts in, and then we'll test it a little bit more. I'm going to solder this here back where it was and clean this up, make it look pretty. Okay, I finished soldering. I ended up soldering a new wire here. After a while, I was running it for longevity. I just wanted to see what it was gonna be doing. I ran it for like maybe 5 minutes, and it was having like intermittent power. It was up and down, up and down. I don't know what was going on. So I ended up adding a new wire, soldering it to, I believe it's 54D. And by the way, I misspoke earlier. I know I talked about these numbers here, hooking up to that. But in reality, if you look at the schematic, they want you to refer to these numbers. If you can see them, they're right there. So it'll be 5431B and 54D, which does match the schematic, which is perfect. So I misspoke. Sorry about that earlier. I misspoke about these on top. That's not what you should go by. You should go by these over here. Okay, so after I soldered the new wire here, I ended up soldering this too, because this came off during disassembly. And again, the whole grease thing was just nuts, but I cleaned it up and it looks fine. So here we're gonna test to see. So this time I'm going to use these numbers. First, I'm gonna hook the ground up to here. It's gonna go on the chassis. You can see it there. That's where it's going on. And then your 54D should be your continuous running of the wipers. You guys can see that. That'll be done by the switch. So then when the switch is off, of course it stops putting power to here. And at the same time, it adds a ground to this. On the switch. And then when you turn it off on the switch, if you add power to this, this should go to its home. Just like that. So let's say, for instance, if you were to move this a little bit and you turn off the car and you forgot to turn off the wipers, if you shut off by the switch, it should go right to home. Show you that again. Or you can see it from the front. Ooh, watch out, sparks. You all saw those sparks, right? Just be careful. Okay, so the next thing we do, we're gonna attach it to the assembly, and we're gonna test that out too. Make sure that the home is where it belongs. Let's put this on the assembly first. Let's get this ready. Tuck it through this way. Gotta make sure I capture that washer. It's back there. Okay, now we got it on there. So let me put this nut in first. Looking good. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna tighten up this nut here. It's in the center. Nice and snug. Now we're gonna put this piece on here. And that takes the C-clip. Just like that. So now we're gonna hook this up. This is gonna go on the chassis. And power is gonna go on the 53/54D. Let's see it run. Very nice. Power's off. You guys can see underneath. I'll try not to drop it. I'll put the power to 54D. Runs pretty good. Take this off. Now we're gonna add this ground and jump it to the chassis ground here. So let me bump it again. So that's out of the home position, and this should go back to the home position. And there it is. Sorry, my hands are in the way. So another test we can do, we want to make sure that gear is in the correct place, is what I will do is I will mark on the ends here, or just one end. I can mark on one end like a line, a pretend line, to show that the wipers are in. So when this is in the car, not to confuse anybody, this is in the car. If you were driving in the driver's side, this is how this gets mounted, just like this in the car. So what I'm gonna do is put a line here, and then I'm gonna activate it, add power to it, and see what position it ends up, and then I'll put it in the home position. Hopefully we'll see that line again. Okay, so I'm gonna add a line here. It's just gonna be a straight line. You guys see that? It's kind of hard. I know the light will probably white it out You see the line there? I'm hoping that that line will come up pretty straight when it goes in the home position. So let's hook things up. So I'm putting it to ground first. I'm gonna hold it right here on the ends. I'm gonna add power. Okay, so now we don't see the line anymore. Line is somewhere else. So hopefully, if I hook everything up correctly, ground, and adding the jumper, going to 54, and that should home it out. Let's see. Okay, so that's in the home position. And now, if I disconnect everything, the line is back where it belongs. So now you know that that gear position doesn't really matter because of the switches that are in here. So the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna clean this up, polish it, then slap this back on. That should wrap it up really, but let me clean this up and I'll show you guys here in a minute. Okay, I polished this up, cleaned up a little bit. So now I'm going to install it. Just be careful of the new wire that I installed there. Normally it goes in like this. And I know I talked about prying this up earlier. And you do have to pry it up just slightly because a lot of times this tab right here does not push in. So this side goes in first on my left and it just snaps right in. So now that's what we got. Okay, we're gonna test it with the new cap on. So let's see. Looks good, sounds good. Again, guys, thank you for hanging out with me today. And like I always say, have a good day. Here's some bonus footage. I'm gonna try to run off of the 6-volt here. Very slow. All right, that's it. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.